And the positive sentiments seen at the end of last week have been reversed at intraday at the Nigerian stock market. The all-share index was down 0.05% at intraday. Well, let's see what the situation is at the moment. Let's cross over to the exchange. Temple Ashaju will give us all the details we need to know. Hello, Temple. Good afternoon. So give us an update. What's the latest on the market at the moment?
Well, we still got the market in the green at this point, up some 0.16%, thanks to the consumer goods segment of the market, which is looking good right now, up some 1.06%. We have a bit of buy sentiment across that sector, because if you take note, for the greater part of last week, that segment of the market was down by more than 3%. And of course, if you take a look at the numbers, the names that you have across that particular segment of the market, the PZ, the Dangote Sugar, Dangote Flour, were all in red for last week. But so that gives room for some investors to quickly come on board at this point and take position. And that's why we're having interest in May and Baker, Dangote Flour, which is up by more than 7% right now. And of course, we have Nigerian breweries at a very, very low price. If you recall that Nigerian breweries was actually trading at about 60 naira for a long time. So it ended the week very negative as well. But then this morning it's up some 6.31%. That's what it has gained so far now, and it's trading around 64 naira. So that also puts that segment positive. But then again, the banking segment of the market, a greater portion of the market of that indices is actually in negative at this point. But Union Bank is helping to weather the storm. We're seeing it rising some 5.3%. And of course, that implies a huge buy sentiment on that particular counter. So far, we've seen about 26 million units of its shares traded today. And of course, it's the most actively traded so far. As of midday, that's the company that actually ranks as the most actively traded. And right now, it's still about the most actively traded. And it is followed closely by Chams PLC, which is also gaining some 20-something million units of shares done so far. Then you have Guarantee Trust Bank with some 13 million units of shares. So if this kind of sentiment continues for the rest of this week, which we're not too certain about, I think the market will be able to recover the losses around the 30,000 psychological line. Because right about now, the all-share index of the market is at some 29,608 to 610 band. Now we're seeing it's coasting back to the 30,000 psychological line, which is a plus for this market, Chimizi.
All right, what should we be expecting in the new week in terms of earnings?
Well, I think because of the fact that we didn't have so much of positive activities in the first quarter of this year, the numbers for this Q1 2019 may not be looking too impressive, given the fact that we had, it was an election period. I mean, we had the presidential and national assembly election, then we also had the governorship elections, and it was, of course, fraught with some kind of controversies around that. I mean, up until last weekend, we still had some supplementary elections being conducted in some quarters. So for that reason, a lot of investors were not too bullish, especially in the equities market. At a point, they were the days and weeks leading up to the general elections in February. They were good. They had some traction around it, but a lot of the companies, in terms of performance, didn't do so well because investors actually withdrew. So the attraction again for the greater part of the Q1 was in the fixed income space, where you have investors, bringing in money to the treasury bills markets. Because if you recall, in the FX I&E window, that's the investors and exporters window of the market, we actually saw huge billions of dollars of transactions, but more than 90% of that fund actually went to treasury bills. So for that reason, we're not too bullish on Q1 for companies' performance in the equity space. But then for Q2, we have to continue to see how things will pan out. So there's a silver lining, the fact that this is the period when we should see the announcement of cabinet, the passage of budgets, and a whole lot of transition will be taking place at this period. Possibly that will become a catalyst for investors, foreign and domestic, in this market, Chimizi.
I like being positive, so let's hope for the best, Temple. Move on now, oil prices edged lower in early trade today after international benchmark Brent hit a fresh 5-month high in the previous session. But concerns over global supplies provided a floor to losses. Brent crude oil futures were at $71.40 a barrel, down 15 cents, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures were at $63.60 per barrel, down 29 cents from their last settlement. The head of Libya's National Oil Corporation warned on Friday that renewed fighting could wipe out crude production in the country. Meanwhile, the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries and its allies will meet in June to make a decision to either continue to withhold supply or not. And finally, on metal market, gold prices fell to a more than 1-week low in early trade as stronger than expected data from China and a robust start to the U.S. earnings season soothed concerns about global economic slowdown. Spot gold edged 0.2% lower to $1,288.08 per ounce, while U.S. gold futures fell 0.3% to $1,291 an ounce. Among other precious metals, silver was unchanged at $14.95 an ounce. Spot platinum eased about 0.1% to $885.45 per ounce, while palladium lost 0.3% at $1,368.03 per ounce. And that's it on the program. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Chimezi Obi Uwagu.